MotorWeek is made possible by Tire Rack.
High tech, well, that's a term that's tossed around a lot these days, especially in car ads. And usually it means that a computer was used for a car's design and manufacture. But does using a computer mean that a car will be any different to drive and to look at? Not always. And a lot of people couldn't care less about high tech unless they can see it and touch it. But as it happens, one manufacturer is giving folks a variety of ways to do just that. Our first example of Buick's high-technology hijinks comes to us in the familiar form of the Century. This one's called the T-Type, and it's yet another try by GM's old man division to reach today's trendy Eurocar buyer. GM's front-wheel drive A-car is a popular target for this kind of enrichment. Its overall size and most components are the same as the highly regarded Pontiac 6000 STE, the Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra ES, and Chevy's Celebrity Eurosport. But Buick did their own version of the suspension, drivetrain, and interior-exterior styling. Now, computers come in handy for suspension refinement. What used to be trial and error can now be pre-tested to narrow the choices. In Buick's case, engineers wanted to retain Buick's traditional smooth ride, but provide better handling and control for the enthusiast. The result, despite 3,070 pounds, is a T-Type that's very nimble. Thick anti-roll bars, front and rear, compensate well for the soft springs, and the quick, if nearly dead steering allows rapid wheel cutting without unpredictable loss of traction at the rear. But perhaps the biggest T-Type improvement is an option, the 60 Series Eagle GT tires, the widest and most aggressive for any sports sedan A-body model. Still on the open highway, the ride is comfortable enough to go for many hours at a stretch. Paving joints, usually noticeable in most sports sedans with beefed-up suspensions, went virtually unnoticed. The Century T-Type also has one of GM's most advanced drivetrains. Late last spring, the 3.8-liter V6 designed for the new Electra was also added to the Century T-Type. Along with multi-port fuel injection, it also features GM's latest computer-controlled engine electronics. Compared to the older T-Type's 3-liter V6, the larger motor provides a 14% increase in usable horsepower and a 34% jump in low-end torque. And that gets the Century T-Type off and running. 0 to 60 is 11.5 seconds, and that's almost 3 seconds better than before. And the new 4-speed overdrive automatic transaxle produced a quarter-mile dart of 17.6 seconds. Though the low speed of 73 did indicate that the T-Type's torque curve flattens out rather quickly. And there are a couple of other bugs in the T-Type's computer printout, though they're probably all human decisions. The standard seats, for instance. There's plenty of lower back support, and the cloth is a nice alternative to velour or vinyl. It holds the torso nicely. But the bottom cushions are too short and flat, with no thigh or lateral support. And despite a full-length console, the gear selector is still on the steering column. But thankfully, both shortcomings can be corrected. You can order much better Lear-Siegler bucket seats and a console-mounted shifter from the T's option list. But unfortunately, there's no such help for the dash. Chrome accents abound and are out of place. There was an effort made to provide most desired gauges, but they are painfully small. The digital bar graph tack also looks too much like an afterthought, and its one-place computers definitely don't help. On the exterior, though, things are different. Most of the T-Type's metal is pretty much dechromed, and overall the trim shape is handsome. Like the Electra T-Type, it's just plain enough to stand out in any Buick showroom without scaring off marginal customers. But even here, the T-Type could have been done better. It still lacks the kind of truly distinctive looks that might tell younger buyers that this is a Buick with a difference. One exterior feature we did like was the high-mounted stoplight. It was very visible and will be standard on all cars next year. So in sum, the T-Type is almost its own car. In spirit, it's ready to ascend to Euro sedandom, but its Luxo lineage Buick family ties tend to hold it back. And compared to the A-car benchmark, the Pontiac 6000 STE, it is both more and less, which is where price comes in. At $11,500 to start and $14,200 as we'd equip it, the Century T-Type is still nearly $1,000 less than the STE. But you get a torquier engine, more comfortable ride, and comparable handling. And we didn't need a computer to tell us that. So the high-tech results of the Century T-Type may still have a few glitches, but in our second Buick, this opulent but rather ordinary-looking Riviera, we get hints of a true electronic tomorrow. This is one of a limited number of Rivieras with a cathode ray tube, or CRT. It's a trip computer, entertainment, and climate control display center. On this flexible, touch-sensitive screen, just about everything you ever wanted to know about your trip and interior environment can be called up from memory. The CRT is controlled by two 8-bit microprocessors with 32,000 words of memory for the graphics. On the outer ring of the screen, various summary pages can be recalled, and there's a one-touch feature for windshield defrost. Hit climate and all normal automatic air conditioning and heater controls come into view. You select whatever options you want for airflow, set the inside temperature goal, and adjust the fan speed. Now, Buick makes a big deal out of the graphics on the CRT. You even see the fan turning at various speeds for high or low. Punch up the radio, and again, the AM/FM stereo cassette system gives you a bunch of information settings. Hit the space marked BAL, and the display changes to indicate sound balance. Again, by touching the screen, you can instantly readjust the 4-speaker system. The same goes for GREQ, that's for graphic equalizer. The proper frequency mix of highs and lows can be made with this display to bring the best radio or taped music to your ears. The radio summary page also includes time and interior temperature, for this is the data page that most often will be left on the screen. Then there's the trip monitor and your expected destination time and speed information. Unlike most systems, all of the data here is displayed on the CRT screen at one time for easy review. And if you're up to it, you can also read everything in metric. The Riviera system, and a similar one on a few of Ford's Continental Mark 7s, is the way things are going in terms of interior electronics. And this is only the beginning, of course, because onboard navigational map systems will follow soon. But the questions arise. Is the CRT really necessary? And is there a built-in danger of looking away from the road while you're trying to use it? Well, as for the first question, it naturally depends on how many gadgets you want to buy. And as for it being safe, well, we found that once the novelty wore off and we got used to what section of the screen to hit for what, it was no more confusing than most sophisticated electronic systems on highly optioned cars. At least everything here is controlled at one location. Obviously, smart cars are here to stay. And if a device like this Buick Riviera's CRT can help passengers pass the time on boring interstates, then why shouldn't it be available? If you like to be spoon-fed your car's high-tech, it's without a doubt the most obvious and intriguing way to do it yet.